Hey folks, Wally here, and today our adventuring party enters a very large room with a 35-foot black hole in the ground. Now directly above it is an identical 35-foot black hole. Now going from the opening that's in the top or in the ceiling down through the hole that is in the ground is all types of different debris, such as rocks, columns, statue heads, whatever that you can think of. Now if the characters take a few moments to study it, they're going to see that once all of this debris goes through the hole that's in the ground, it's going to reappear at the top and then sift all the way back down through the ground in a continual loop. Now this is going to be a complex trap where we're going to roll for initiative, and there's going to be all kinds of different things going on, such as a force trying to pull the characters into the trap, and a nice magical surprise in the form of invisible archers that's waiting for them on the other side. Now the original idea for this trap was brought up by Sylvia in the Wally Discord, and in fact this is based on the game Portal, and I am excited to bring this to you. Now if you'd like to see the written version of this trap, you can find it in the Wally Discord in the trap forums, and if you would like to have access to the map that I'm going to use in this video, then that is going to be available to all of the subscribers to the Patreon at the $2 level or higher. But before we get started, I do want to take a moment to thank everyone that has backed my Kickstarter, The Quintessential Guide to Monster Encounters. We have reached our goal. We're over 100% funded, and myself, Mr. Trask, and Dungeon Dad are very excited to put this book together for you. But there is good news. If you have not yet backed the Kickstarter and you want to get in and get a copy of this book or the PDF, there's still time to do so. I'll put a link in the description below. So this trap is going to take place in a rather large room. This is going to be a 45-foot by 75-foot room, and it's going to have 25-foot ceilings. Now the most noticeable thing that's in this room is going to be this 35-foot black hole that is in the floor. And above it, 25 feet into the ceiling, is going to be a similar 35-foot diameter hole. Now traveling through this cylinder space in 3 dimension is going to be all of these rocks, boxes, debris, columns, statues, candles, anything that you can imagine, all kinds of debris that is cycling from the top all the way through the bottom. Now if our characters were to spend just a few moments to study all of this debris that is falling from the top through the bottom, then they're going to be able to recognize with a DC 10 investigation check that any item such as a statue that disappears through this black hole or this big black circle that is in the floor is going to re-emerge from the top and then continue following down. So everything that goes through the floor is reappearing in the ceiling, and it's a continual motion. Now on both sides of the cylinder is a 5-foot walkway. So we have a 5-foot walkway on the close side and a 5-foot walkway on the back side. Now aside from this 30-foot diameter cylinder with all of the debris, there's also 2 10-foot columns that are about 5 foot wide that are on the other side. And looking across the room, this open corridor is the direction we want to go. Now most of the floor or the ground in this trap room is going to be covered with a thin layer of dirt and dust, but anyone with a 15 passive perception score is going to see that within 10 feet circling this debris or portal cylinder, everything is going to be cleared. It's almost like it's swept clean. And of course anyone else that would like to further study this cylinder and everything that's falling in between may also discover this with a perception check of DC 12 or higher. Now, if any character steps into this area where all the dirt and the dust are clean, then we're going to roll for initiative. Now, unbeknownst to the characters, there are 2 invisible archers that are on top of these pillars in this direction. So when we set initiative for our trap, we're going to consider the portal as our debris field is going to act on initiative count 20, and our invisible archers are going to act on initiative count 10. Now let's go back to our rogue that entered within 10 feet of our debris cylinder, this portal that's taking all of this stuff from the top to the bottom. Once they enter this area or begin their turn in this area, they need to make a DC 15 strength saving throw, or they're going to be sucked and pulled into the hole. And then the rest of the party is going to be able to see them going from top to bottom through this debris field. Now, of course, the characters may decide to simply just throw something into this area here, let's say an empty sack or a 10-foot pole or something like that, and they'll immediately see the gravitational pull of the portal or the debris field pull it right into the cylinder. Now, I have designed the trap to have the walls be smooth and nearly indestructible. This would prevent anything like pitons or iron spikes being drove into the wall, but as a dungeon master or game master, you can decide if the characters want to try to use pitons or iron spikes to try to get around this debris field and this cylinder, then that is up to you. I would probably still have them make a strength saving throw, maybe with advantage since they're holding on to something. So let's see what a turn with this trap would look like. And we're going to go ahead and begin the turn with our rogue trapped in the debris field and being pulled through the portal from the bottom and then reappearing through the top in continuous motion. As mentioned, our trap is going to act on initiative count 20. So any character or any creature that is within the cylinder or debris field, like our rogue, is going to need to make a DC 15 dexterity check, or they're going to take 2d6 of bludgeoning damage. And of course, you can adjust that for the level of your adventuring party. Now, if they make the dexterity saving throw, we're going to narrate this as they are able to dodge the pieces. Perhaps they were able to grasp this column and to get out of the way in time. So now let's say that our rogue is up next in the initiative order. If they want to try to maneuver themselves between the debris to try to make it to the other side or to get back out on this side, then we're going to allow them to make an acrobatics or an athletics check, and let's set the DC at 12. Now, in order to escape this trap inside the cylinder, we're going to need them to make 2 successful acrobatics or athletics checks. So that's going to require at least 2 of their turns. So let's say on this turn, our rogue successfully makes an acrobatics check and now only needs 1 more success in order to get to the other side. Now let's say our gnome is the next up and they're going to try to get around this side. Maybe our gnome even has the spell Misty Step. Well, the end from one part of this gravitational pull to the other distance is 35 feet. So let's say they teleport 30 feet. They still have 5 feet to go, and this is going to count for them entering the gravitational pull of the trap, and now they'll need to make a DC 15 saving throw. If they succeed on that, then they can use their movement to successfully get on the other side. And with that, perhaps our dwarf is now going to contemplate going this way, and maybe our artificer is going to try to go through the middle and do acrobatics and athletics checks just like the rogue is doing. But now that's going to bring us to the 10 in the initiative, and our archers are protecting this gateway here. So they're going to start shooting arrows at the characters. And I would probably just do this in a random order. So let's say it's our artificer that's going to be the first target. Our invisible archer is going to have a +6 to hit. And if they hit the artificer, then it's going to be 2d4 force damage. So same thing on the other side, the other archer will also make an attack. And I kind of see them having a cone-like range as far as visibility goes. So this archer here should probably be able to target the rogue that's in the middle or the dwarf that's on the far side. Again, that's going to be a +6 to hit. And on a hit, it's going to be 2d4 force damage. Going back to the top of our initiative order, again on initiative count 20, our trap is going to act, and our rogue is still in the middle of the trap, so they're going to need to make a DC 15 dexterity saving throw. If they fail that saving throw, they're going to take 2d6 bludgeoning damage from all of the debris that's in the field. Now, after our trap acts, once again, our rogue is up next in the initiative order, and let's say that they are successful on their athletics checks, and they're able to get to the other side. At this time, our gnome is also able to get around, and once the archers are bypassed, then they have successfully made it through the trap. But we still have our artificer and our dwarf to get through. So let's say our artificer is next up in the initiative order, and they're going to attempt to either use something to jump across this area, or perhaps a broom of flying with that 50 foot of movement speed. Unfortunately, since they don't have a low center of gravity to try to be able to withstand the gravitational pull, any attempts through the air, whether it be levitation or flying on a broom of flying or jumping across, is going to either be an automatic fail or a strength saving throw check at disadvantage. I'll leave that up to you as the GM. So let's say we allow this at disadvantage. Our character hops on a broom of flying. They enter this area. They fail the strength saving throw at disadvantage. They're going to be sucked into the debris field. Our dwarf, however, let's say as soon as they enter this area, they succeed on their strength saving throw, and then they're able to use their movement and their dash action to get all the way across and to safety. And then, of course, we're now on initiative count 10. Our dwarf and our rogue are still in the area that the archers can hit them. So perhaps this archer here is going to shoot at our artificer that's inside of the cylinder. And this archer here shoots at our dwarf or shoots at the rogue. Again, you can randomly determine or pick and choose. Now we're back up to the top of the initiative order, and the debris field is going to act on that initiative count 20. So anyone within this cylinder, which is currently our artificer, she's going to need to make that DC 15 dexterity saving throw or take 2d6 of bludgeoning damage. If she makes the saving throw, then perhaps she grabs a hold of some type of floating pillar or rock or something along those lines. And also don't forget that this entire time she's going to be floating with the debris, so she's going to go through the bottom of the hole this way and then reappear through the top of the portal. It's just going to be a continuous motion of going from the top of the portal through the bottom and then reappearing at the top. And of course, after a few more initiative rounds, let's say our artificer is able to get through the debris field. Perhaps one of our characters were able to throw some rope in there to help them out or something along those lines. And then once they all get past these invisible archers or these pedestals here, they're going to be safe. And then they can continue on successfully bypassing this trap. But don't forget, if they come back through here at a later time, then they're going to have to re-navigate it all over again. So that's all I have for you today. What did you think of the trap? Is this something that you could use in your game? And if so, what would you do differently? In particular, what types of saving throws, ability checks, and what type of damage would you include? Thank you very much for watching, and on to the next.